I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I just wanted to make them fight. Conquest, Satan's greatest soldier and the man who freaks his fellow Viltrumites out. Witch, the guardians of the infinite dimensions, and most terrifying of all, a bunch of teenage girls. Who is stronger? Will Conquest prevail, or will the five magical girls show the lonely old man the power of friendship? I will only be using TV show scaling for these characters, partially because I know a lot of people haven't seen the comics and don't appreciate spoilers, mostly because the entire Invincible universe would get wiped out as collateral damage while the comic book guardians are fighting one of their villains. That is not a joke, they have canonically had to have allies go prevent universes from collapsing while they fight someone else. The Viltrum Empire is the scourge of the galaxy. Having called the weak among their people, they've dedicated themselves to expanding their rule and conquering the lesser races of the galaxy. And among them, there is one who is considered formidable even among his people. So formidable, he's referred to by his purpose rather than a name: Conquest. As a Viltrumite, and one of the strongest, Conquest has the same abilities as the rest of his kind. Specifically, smart atoms. They're like normal atoms, except the part where Viltrumites can freely manipulate them to conserve and output energy to incredible degrees. Smart atoms can resist changing from their normal states in extreme environments. This gives them the ability to move freely through space, aka flight and super speed, and exert and resist incredible force like nothing is happening, aka superhuman strength, durability, and endurance. I'd show you an example of what Conquest could survive, but I don't think YouTube would let me, so let's just call it having his face mashed. At some point, Conquest also lost one of his arms, and now he has a mechanical arm that, while strong, breaks easier compared to the rest of him. Not the most diverse set of abilities ever, I know, but enough to single-handedly conquer whole planets. And it's not surprising considering who he scales above. In Season 3, after he arrived and we all had to stand ready for it, Cecil called him the most powerful super being he's ever seen, putting him physically above basically every character he's been able to observe, from Invincible to Omni-Man to even the new and improved Alan the Alien. Plus, his theme song is literally called Second Strongest Viltrumite. This would put his strength above Omni-Man, who was able to decimate the Flaxen homeworld by turning himself into a flaming bullet and shooting through everything in his way, which has been calced to be small country level. Then there's the meteor the size of Texas. Now I'm gonna say something I'm sure will be incredibly controversial, but I don't think this feat is as impressive as everyone says it is. We don't know by how much the meteor was affected by Earth's gravity, if at all, or how fast it was moving, and Nolan doesn't even describe himself as catching it, just diverting it, which could mean so many different things. So I don't get why everyone so confidently gives it the maximum possible scaling of moon level. If I said something this vague about Chat Noir in my Invincible vs Chat Noir video, the Invincible fans would have had me executed by firing squad. I mean, if the government can notice Alan flying faster than light from deep space, is it that crazy that they wouldn't let the meteor bigger than some countries that was definitely much slower near the planet? This is somehow the first time Marcus heard about his father catching what is essentially a dwarf planet before it collides with the Earth. And here's the thing, I know that I could be wrong, but so could everyone else. That's the thing about being vague. One thing that's less vague is Nolan being next to a black hole. The thing is, if you aren't in the event horizon, a black hole isn't that different from a star in terms of just being a monster of gravity, in which case Nolan just has to resist the gravitational pull. Not a small feat by any means, but not really outside the range of what we've discussed so far, even with the spaceship he moved to safety. Plus, going by the tone of the scene, he seemed pretty convinced that actually entering it would kill him. Speed-wise, Conquest would also scale to or above Nolan's speed, and he's shown to be able to fly across space to Thraxa, which is described as being a couple galaxies away. The Andromeda galaxy is 2.5 million light years away. Nolan had less than a month. So depending on who you ask, Conquest is either casually above small country level or moon level with MFTL speeds. Paired with his several centuries long life of being Viltrum's attack dog, we know he's also a vicious and dangerous fighter who enjoys the thrill of battle. The closest thing he has to a weakness is that he plays with his food, which, let's face it, is why Mark is still alive. I mean, there's also the frequency that disturbs Viltrumites and makes it hard for them to fight back, but I doubt it's gonna be a factor in this fight. Anyway, let's look at his opponents. I will try to be brief. Will Vandam, Irma Lair, Tarani Cook, Cornelia Hale, and Haylin were normal girls. Well, allegedly anyway. Seemingly due to various connections to the magic of their world, they were selected to become the Guardians of the Veil, magical warriors tasked with protecting the Veil, a barrier set up to prevent the evil of Prince Phobos from leaking from his dimension into others. After defeating Phobos at the end of Season 1, thus removing the need for the Veil, it was taken down and added to their magic, and they were renamed the Guardians of the Infinite Dimensions. They only visit like 5 across the entire series. They don't really take that much advantage of their name. To accomplish this, the girls were given the Heart of Kandrakar, the magical nexus of the dimension of Kandrakar, which empowers them with magic and gives each of them control over one of the 5 elements, while transforming them into older, more powerful forms with superhuman strength and the power to fly, as well as a vague, underutilized ability to just blast magic from their hands. Together, they are Witch. Yes, it's their initials. Yes, this show has negative SEO. Please share this video around. Will Vandam is the leader and keeper of the heart. In the first season, Will didn't have unique powers, but after the veil was taken down, she gained the power of quintessence. Comparable to lightning, quintessence gives the user control over energy, the most notable of which is her control of life energy, allowing her to bring to life and control inanimate objects, communicate with electronics, and even revive the dead. Offensively, Will is a powerful electrokinetic capable of generating and controlling electricity and lightning in any way she deems fit. She also has the power of teletransportation, meaning she can teleport herself and allies to safety in emergencies, though she isn't very well practiced with it. The heart she holds is capable of all sorts of functions. Most notably, it can open folds in reality that can take her anywhere both in and outside of the dimension she's currently in. Irma Lair is the guardian of water and has the ability to generate water from nothing and control it in all forms, using it for both offensive attacks and defensive shields. She also has the power to generate storm clouds and make it rain. She can even forcibly draw water out of living things, though in her base form she's only been shown to be able to do that to plants. On top of that, she has the ability to implant suggestions in the minds of others, making them do what she wants as a form of mind control, even if it goes against their current goals. Tarani Cook is the guardian of fire. She's the most intelligent member of the group, but also the least combative one. She can generate and control fire hot enough to instantly melt metal weapons to slag. She can use it for general blasts or concentrated streams of flame and can control its temperature as necessary so as to not evaporate water if she doesn't want to. She can even absorb heat from her enemies if necessary. She also has the power of telepathy. While for most of Season 2 this was used to simply read and broadcast her team's thoughts for better coordination, she later shows that she can tap into the minds of others. We never got to see if this meant she could casually read minds, but she is capable of fending off psychic attacks. Cornelia Hale is the guardian of Earth. She can't generate Earth from nothing, but she can control existing Earth and create and control plants from nothing, as well as communicate with them through green speaking for recon purposes. She can also control anything as long as it's of the Earth, even wood used in furniture and processed sugar. She also appears to be able to control metal because of the Earth within it, though whether or not that's true doesn't matter because she has gained the power of telekinesis and can move anything with her mind, and even use telekinetic blasts. Haylin is the guardian of air. She's the best flyer of the group and has complete control over the wind and air, even able to supercool it if she wants to freeze water, and fights with anything from wind blasts to tornadoes. Her control is accurate enough that she can manipulate nails in a manner similar to telekinesis to accurately nail a box shut and pick up sounds over long distances. She also has the power to turn invisible. When it comes to where they scale, the Guardians are roughly equal in power. The girls easily have superhuman physical strength, with Will being shown to be strong enough to topple a giant bookcase while cracking concrete, push over a large plant column, and catch a falling catapult. In terms of speed, the characters scale to the electric attacks done by Quintessence users, being able to react to them with relative ease. Quintessence is directly compared to actual lightning, so the speeds of the attacks should match. Where the Guardians' magic scales is harder to pinpoint, especially in Season 2. You notice that they have abilities not directly linked to their elements. They got those as a result of a boost when the veil was taken down and added to their power. Now, if you want to be generous, you can take the fact that a magical shield meant to surround a whole dimension and keep it from coming in contact with others, which are their own universes, was added to their power to call them something around universal. But I am not that generous, especially considering that this has never translated to how they fight. In Season 1, the Guardians perform various storm creation feats, outputting city levels of energy in the process. Irma is able to hold the pressure of the water deep at the bottom of the underwater mines back before Cornelia lifted the structure they were in to the surface while resisting letting it get crushed. Both of these feats also require roughly city levels of power considering the depths. After receiving the Season 2 power boost, they became several times stronger than that, with Irma instantly accidentally starting a rainstorm in human form despite only being able to do that on purpose as a guardian before, and Cornelia's attempts to create vines causing the entire terrain around her to be destroyed. Then there's Phobos, the villain of the first season, who was able to create an at least island-sized prison pocket dimension inside a painting for a single artist that annoyed him. While it was a painting, the things and people within it were real and even continue to exist even after being removed. This is an at least island level feat that, based on the context, must have been done pretty casually, though we don't really know much about it beyond that. Phobos' goal of the season was to enhance his powers by stealing those of his sister Elion, who was far more powerful than him. In Season 2, we learn that Elion actually has the power of the Heart of Meridian, basically a counterpart to the Heart of Kandrakar, and each heart is basically an equal to each other in power, so they do scale to each other. Considering Phobos is constantly trying to steal any available hearts because of how much it would amplify his power, they all scale above him. There is a single higher potential scale for the Guardians though. The Stone of Threeb, which was created from the Heart of Kandrakar, was able to cause a massive storm in Meridian as a side effect of being activated on Earth in another dimension. The size of this storm is unknown, but if it covered the entirety of the planet, which is at least the size of Earth based on the minimum possible size of the Infinite City, this can be scaled from multi-continental to even moon level depending on who you ask. However, much like a certain Texas-sized meteor, this is far too vague to really glean any solid information from. Another vague thing is how Elion instantly transformed the weather and landscape of her kingdom. How far did her power extend? No idea. I am addressing this to say, no, I'm not giving the girls multi-continental scaling that easily. When it comes to durability, the Guardians show their ability to take attacks from their mind-controlled teammates as well as enemies that can match their magic, such as the Knights of Destruction, who draw their powers from the Hearts of Meridian and can match the Guardians. There is one last thing to address though. The girls have a last resort transformation where they access the zenith of their powers, allowing them to turn into their elements and giving them a significant power boost. They did this while up against Cedric while he had the power of 2 hearts, and the difference was immediately noticeable as they went from barely affecting him to stomping him out with ease. In this form, they also have increased control of their abilities, to the point that Irma can absorb the water and nutrients out of non-plant living things. So, with all the cards on the table, there's really only one conclusion I can reach. Conquest wins. But let's see how difficult we can make it for him. Conquest's biggest advantage is his speed, like by a ridiculously large margin. Even if we downplay him, he's faster than anything the Guardians have ever had to deal with, what with all the flying across space and through galaxies and all that, and he scales so far above them that even if they do hit him, it's not gonna do much. Frankly, if the Guardians show up to fight him while in their base forms, he just one-shots all of them and barely notices. But I like to look at these characters at their strongest, that is, their zenith forms. And it doesn't really help with the power difference. Here's the thing, as vague as where the Guardians could possibly scale in relation to Phobos' island level feat is, with all their power boosts, to reach Conquest's minimum small country level scaling, their attacks would need to be as much as 500 times stronger than this spell, which I can barely justify while we have no idea what the specifics of the spell even were, similar to my questioning of the Texas meteor. And Nolan's act of flying across the Flaxen planet was casual in its own right. Also, for all the moon level truthers out there, That number jumps from 500 times to like 500 million. But you see, Conquest does have a problem though, and that's that in their zenith forms there isn't really much he can do to the girls. They all turn into their elements at their zenith, and his power to hit really hard won't actually kill them. Now, the girls do have a situation where they could potentially win. For starters, Irma can order him to not move, and in that moment, while his mind is under her control, Irma can suck the water right out of him to severely weaken him while Halen removes the oxygen from his body. You see, Viltrumites don't lack a need for oxygen. They can just hold their breaths for a really long time. Then, Will can use her electric powers to take control of his artificial arm, which won't be weakened by dehydration and a lack of air, and have it attack him. And if that's not enough, they can then gang up on this old man while he's severely weakened and just beat him to death. But there's just one problem. Smart atoms. The thing about smart atoms is that they have the ability to simply retain their current state and resist extreme changes. Like, say, someone attempting to suck the liquid out of you. For a possible collaboration of this, let's look at Atom Eve. She's an Invincible character who has the ability to manipulate and change things on an atomic level. And in the scene where she goes Super Saiyan Rosé, she basically shoots Conquest with a concentrated laser of her power, and all it does is tear the skin right off him, which is a lot. But it also suggests that Eve doesn't have the power to manipulate smart atoms as easily as she would be able to manipulate regular atoms, which doesn't bode well for the whole draining water out of him plan. This is really the girls' only win condition, and I'm only like 60% confident that it would work in any way, and it requires that Conquest stays still so they can pull it off in the first place. If he isn't weakened and Will does turn his artificial arm against him, he is strong enough to just destroy it. Basically, any strategy like Halen taking away his oxygen or Will using folding to teleport him somewhere else is negated by his ability to instantly be a light year away from the fight and then come back before any of them even notice that he left. In this state, both sides of the fight don't really have a solid way to win. But owing to his superior speed, scaling, and the fact that all his opponents can really do is put themselves back together after he breaks them, oh my god, are they just a team of immortals? And possibly outlast him in stamina because they've turned into pure magic entities, you can see why I have to give the win to Conquest. Shout out to my patrons, A and Skyman. Tell me your thoughts on this matchup down below, and while you're at it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Thank you, and good day.